My name is Lúqas Rozenkranz, and I'm the Swiss ambassador to Armenia. I would like to give you a little bit of an overview what we, Switzerland, the Swiss Embassy in Armenia, what we're doing here. So first, in this year, we are celebrating 30th year of the bilateral relations between Switzerland and Armenia. And also, 11 years ago, we opened our embassy, and I'm personally very happy to be here. I would also mention that, yes, I said, so we have had 30 years of bilateral relations, but the Swiss engagement in Armenia started earlier. Actually, that dates back to 1988, when famously the big earthquake hit Armenia, the cities of Spitak and Gyumri, and Switzerland was among the many countries which stretched out helping the local population, and the Swiss rescue team was deployed here to save lives. Since then, the Swiss-Armenian relationship has, of course, developed significantly as the two countries have concluded a number of bilateral agreements covering areas such as international cooperation, economic relations, and visa facilitation. Perhaps I would like to speak first a little bit of the economic level and then about the cooperation, which is our main focus here. On the economic level, Switzerland figures, according to Armenian statistics, among the most important trade partners of Armenia. So according to these statistics, in 2021, Switzerland ranked as the third most important export destination for Armenian goods after Russia and China, with a total value of these exports equaling roughly $360 million. The year before, so 2020, Armenian exports to Switzerland amounted to even a bigger figure, to $454 million. We're talking mostly about precious metals here. Swiss exports to Armenia, again I'm quoting the official Armenian figures, were more moderate, amounting to roughly $26 million, but the tendency is very encouraging, so they're up about 40%. And so what is the embassy doing in this context? We do what embassies do usually, so we encourage and promote economic relations and trade. We do this by organizing thematic business luncheons, webinars, surveys. We have door-opening services with the Armenian authorities, and we provide first-hand advice to Swiss companies who are interested in coming to Armenia, investing in Armenia, exporting to Armenia. And so we advise them about access to the Armenian market. And the embassy also actively cooperates here with the Switzerland-Armenia Chamber of Commerce, because of course the private sector is here very important, so we have a very active relationship with them. They were established in 2017 in Zurich. So perhaps just to give you there a small example of this, a recent development here, that's the signature of a protocol amending the existing convention between Switzerland and Armenia on avoidance of double taxation. And here, Switzerland supports international efforts to achieve greater transparency and have a level playing field with regard to taxation of multinationals. You might know that we have really a lot of multinationals in Switzerland. We hope that this amendment also will further boost investment flows between Switzerland and Armenia. Here, I admit there is really some leeway for improvement to have a bigger investment. Now, after the economic activities, I want to focus on the cooperation, which is really I'd say that's the main bulk of our activities here in Armenia. In this year, we have launched the new, first of all, because we had one before, the new Swiss cooperation program for the South Caucasus. That's for the years 2022 to 2025. This program foresees a strong increase of our support to Armenia from around $3 million per year to around $6 million in 2025. And perhaps this is a little bit abstract still, but I would like to dwell there a little bit more in detail, as I hope this could be interesting for Bun TV, the audience. The Swiss Cooperation Program aims to support Armenia in its various reform processes. We work in the South Caucasus at the local, national, and even the regional level. But here in Armenia, the rural population is at the core of our engagement. To increase the effectiveness of our contribution, we closely coordinate our work with a wide range of partners, government of Armenia, of course, civil society organizations, private sector, as I mentioned before, academic institutions, and various international organizations. In particular, this new Swiss cooperation program, which I mentioned before for the South Caucasus, 2022-2025, will focus on 4 key areas. First one is promoting civic engagement and cooperation in the region. Second, strengthening democracy and public institutions. Third, improving economic development and creation of decent jobs. And fourth, strengthening climate resilience and sustainable resource management. And I'm happy to say that we really believe that Switzerland's cooperation with Armenia brings tangible and sustainable results. And let me first give you a few examples of past success stories of our cooperation, and then give an outlook on a few projects that we're planning right now. So one project that we are particularly proud of is the livestock development project, which lasted from 2014 to 2021, covering the regions of Syunik, Lιάζορ in the south, and I hope I pronounced this correctly now, Gegarkunik, then Tavush as well, Lori, Chirac in the north. So overall, Switzerland invested around 23 million Swiss francs. Always with these figures, it's more or less like dollars. The Swiss franc is slightly worth more than the dollar, but you can count it more or less in dollars. And so 23 million that were invested, and there were 67,800 farmers involved in the project, from which, by the way, 43% were female. Around 2,200 new jobs were created. And with regard to the other results, the project led to a 49% increase in income for these farmers, 32% increase in cattle productivity, 24% increase in milk productivity. The project's implementing partner, by the way, was Strategic Development Agency, Armenian NGO, SDA. And I would like to also underline that the project in the north was co-funded by another donor, that is by the Austrian Development Agency, ADA. We work quite closely with them also in other projects. So that is one such success story. And another project, but which is still going on, and that we also believe really had an impact, or is still having an impact, is called Improvement of the Local Self-Governance in Armenia. And it has been going on since 2015. So Switzerland assists the government of Armenia in realizing its ambitious territorial and administrative reform. By the end of 2021, the reform process brought down the number of municipalities from 915 to 71 municipalities. These municipalities will now be more transparent in operations and will carry out functions more effectively, also thanks to this project support. So these are some of the past, and now a little bit going into the future. I would like to mention here 2 major new projects which are just getting started and that we are excited about. So the first one, recently approved and launched project, is called Living Landscapes for Market Development in Armenia, and it will assist Armenia in its efforts regarding nature conservation and economic development, so combining these 2 issues. The project links economic growth, protection of natural resources, biodiversity, and contributes to promoting environment and climate change policies. Again, the heart at the core of the project is development of environmentally friendly tourism with the rural population. As I said before, we're really concentrating on rural areas, so not on Yerevan, quite often on the border areas. And so here it's really focused on this combination of development of an environmentally friendly tourism, but which also allows then livelihood for the local population. And the rural population would be the main beneficiary. And the second long-term project, which I would like to mention, launched in this year, is called Maveta, and it will assist Armenia in modernizing its vocational education training in agriculture. So it aims to improve employment opportunities of youth living in rural areas, by combining theoretical knowledge about agriculture with practical training in a selected number of professions. So part of the reform is that along with receiving theoretical knowledge at vocational education colleges, the students shall get an opportunity to improve their skills in local companies and farms. That's quite typical for the education system in Switzerland, also in Germany, by the way, that you combine theoretical knowledge and the practical, really, experience and skills. So their training paths of these young people will then conclude with a state diploma. So these are two larger projects that we've launched this year. And complementary to these long-term, what we call flagship projects, we also sponsor smaller, short-term activities. And with these short-term activities, the embassy targets cultural and human security-related activities. And so, for example, also, we did support Bun TV with one of these small projects. Perhaps also something that's really important for me personally, I would like to underline that though the priorities of our program are fixed, so as I said, for quite a few years, this program still gives us enough flexibility to react quickly to new challenges, if necessary, if they arise. And in this context, I'm quite proud that we were able to quickly approve around 1 million Swiss francs, exactly 960,000, for a project which will improve Armenia's border community's resilience towards crisis situations. So we signed the contract with the implementing partner just 2 days ago. That's with the World Food Programme. And we will provide, so with the World Food Programme, immediate humanitarian and long-term economic support for 15 border communities, which have also, so 15 communities which have been affected by the recent military escalation in September 2022. And that would be in the regions, again, I hope I pronounce it correctly, Gergarkunik, Lliazor, and Syunik. And we would respond there to the needs of more than 1,000 households. So I guess usually a household, you can multiply it by 4, so around 4,000 people. But also what's important for me here, practically, it's not just humanitarian assistance, but this project combines immediate humanitarian response with efforts towards more long-term economic recovery and growth. So the project, what does it mean concretely? The project will deliver cash assistance to families, social work support, foster resource and capacity development of local communities, support in agricultural activities, and promotion of self-employment. So I hope this gives a little bit an overview also of this cooperation work we're doing. And by the way, when I spoke about this last project here, of course, we go full circle to my start when we spoke about the Swiss humanitarian engagement in the 80s, 1988. And I would like to finish on this note. Well, first of all, I would like to say that I would be much more interested in the 3 Armenian books by Armenian authors that you would recommend to me, because so far I really haven't read much by an Armenian author. Of course, that would be very helpful for me to better understand Armenian society, the culture here. And okay, so there's a lot of books that marked me quite a bit. I mean, some of them, for example, by Russian authors, but I guess your viewers know these authors very well, so it makes no sense that I recommend them. So I will recommend 3 books that exist in English, be it they were written in English or they exist in English translation, and they are perhaps a little bit less known here, and that I simply recommend because they were such a joy to read. So if one is, I think English it is 3 Trapped Tigers, Tres Tigres Tristes, by a Cuban author called Cabrera Infante. The second one would be that's by Orhan Pamuk, My Name is Red. Both books, by the way, they share this element of really a very daring style, experimental style, and for me that's something I appreciate very much in literature. And the third book, also a little bit experimental, slightly less so than the 2 I mentioned, would be The Golden Notebook by Doris Lessing. So the last one is originally written in English, the other ones exist in very good English translations. Again, not that easy, perhaps. I mean, you're usually most impressed by movies when you're young. So when I was 19, I watched 2 movies by the same Polish director, Krzysztof Kieslowski. One, short movie about killing and the other one a short movie about love, and they really left a mark because I think there are very few directors who can capture as well as Kieslowski both the beauty and the cruelty of life, and so that really left an impression on me. Well, it's a question. I'm not sure if it's always such a great idea to meet world famous people, because at least some of these people are famous for things that, how shall I say, that might not be very appealing. And otherwise, if a person is really that famous and very, very important, so why would they want to share time with me, or at least go beyond a kind of superficial level? But I could say that one, I would say in music circles, very famous person, Martha Argerich, a famous Argentinian pianist in her early 80s, but still playing. I would love to meet her, mainly because I would hope that you could play for me. So, well, I do not have a particular story to tell. I cannot say that it was an early childhood dream that I always wanted to contribute to a peaceful world. Actually, my dad had a very low opinion of diplomats because he thought they were people who just drank champagne and were not working hard as him, so I had very little kind of support there from my parents. Honestly, it was just a friend of mine from university who became a diplomat, and he told me about it, and I thought, sounds interesting, and I'll give it a try. Well, I guess that depends on how you define influence. If you define influence just by power, also even, I would say, unlimited power, then my guess would be that the current Chinese president is probably the most influential person in this world. Now, that's an easy one, but also it has something to do with Armenia, because I really love chess. I mean, I have played chess for many years. I used to go to a chess club in Switzerland. Actually, I was even the master of my chess club for a few years. And I was very happy to go to Armenia also because I thought, now I'm going to a country where chess is very popular. You're very good at chess. To be honest, I'm just a little bit disappointed that there are no clubs here where you can play. You have schools for children, but you don't have clubs where people play together. I think just chess is something where you don't need to know each other, and even you can have, by the way, also very strange personalities, but as long as they play well, they're respected. And I like this kind of. It's really, everything else gets unimportant. It's just a game you concentrate on. I'm a big fan of classical music, so that's mainly what I'm into, and I'm also really happy to be here in Armenia because you have wonderful classical concerts. I also discovered some aspects of classical music I didn't know. For example, I have to be honest, I didn't know Komitas at all, and I do like the works of him that I know. But if I want to say who are really my favorite composers, it would be that would be early Renaissance music, polyphonic music. Not sure if they're known here, so like composers like Josquin des Prez or Palestrina. And why? Because just this music for me expresses really peace. And it's very good if you're stressed or if you're slightly sad as well. There wasn't any cultural shock, I would say, but of course, a lot of things are different. And for example, the life rhythms are different. For example, in Switzerland, we tend to start the day early. I mean, if you go to a train station, even a smaller town, at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's full. And so if I cross the street here at 7:30 in the morning to go to my gym and there's almost no car in the street, that's kind of strange. On the other hand, you're much better to enjoy yourself in the evening. And so I really love that here as well, especially in summer, of course, than to enjoy a bit the nightlife and the evening life. So far, I mean, I still haven't tried that much, I have to admit, but what I really like is kind of what I would call I'm not sure if you can call it fusion. I mean, this mixture between Armenian, Syrian, Armenian, Lebanese foods. And that's something I enjoy very much and that I go to these restaurants here in Yerevan.